5.2 feet. Pretty small.
How much is this?
Remember, the human skeletons that they find in Machu Picchu, these are 5.2 feet. It must be like...
That's my height.
Your height, isn't it?
Europeans are only
Pretty small, isn't it?
born those days, too.
I'm sorry. I'm a little bit embarrassed to point the lady out. Well, we got Emily. A little bit more. Oh, fine. Yeah, 5.2 feet. That's the male bodies. Yeah, the male bodies evidence that we find in Machu Picchu City. So that's what the people they explain. Oh my God, how those pretty small people they build up cities high up on the mountains. How long they took to build Machu Picchu City, ladies and gentlemen? If we say, right, archaeologists they explain it. They say 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, approximately the time where they took to build the city of Machu Picchu step by step. But that was not enough to complete. If you walk, if you explore in Machu Picchu City, you will see there we have lots of buildings incomplete, right? Those 40 years or 50 years that archaeologists they say probably they took to build Machu Picchu City, that was not enough to complete. I will show you later on that we have lots of incomplete buildings in there. Yeah. And it's interesting when they find human skeletons, long time ago, 1911, 1912, 1915, you know, they took all the human skeletons to the United States, analyzed the human skeletons. For a long time, they used to explain that in Machu Picchu City, they found in here more females than males. It's like 75% of human skeletons, female bodies, and 25% male bodies. It's interesting that kind of work what I did a long time ago, but now changed completely. 1980s, George W. Verano in the United States took those human skeletons, analyzed those human skeletons, and you know what he says? Completely wrong, big mistake. Now it's 50 and 50. 50% females, 50% males. That is how the work investigation in Machu Picchu is changing a lot. For a long time ago, we used to explain Machu Picchu City, the sacred city in the Andes, like the Mecca in the Andes, like kind of special city where all the pilgrims they used to come in here and leave the offerings. But who live in Machu Picchu City? The population live in Machu Picchu City. They say, let's go and call the special kind of dwelling of the virgins of the sun deity. That kind of city just to concentrate those priestesses, the religious women. Why they say that? Why they used to explain that way? Because they've been working with those female bodies as evidence. Yep. But now all this is changing. All this kind of work, and we have new theories about Machu Picchu City. Now we can explain Machu Picchu, for sure, religious center, economical center, political center, social center, and of course the location of Machu Picchu high up on the mountain. For sure it was a defensive city, I mean, kind of city built high up on the mountain. Incas didn't build cities down in the valley.
No.
The priority of Incas, it was to get all the crops down there in the valley. They build little houses, of course, down in the valley, but they build cities high up on the mountain.
But why have they left?
Oh, yeah, that is another good question. Guys, why they left Machu Picchu City? Right, if this city, right, the archaeologists explain, Machu Picchu City was built up right in between 15th century till beginning of 16th century. Just to give you an idea, the cities that Incas built in the high jungle cloud forest is going around 1430s to 1540s, they say. Why 1540s? Is they say, when the Spanish come to Peru, 1532, isn't it? 1533 is what they took Cusco City. Took practically 2 years. 2 years after that is the revolution between Incas and Spaniards with Manco Inca. Is that king who reorganized the army and, fight against Spaniards. We got some victories in Cusco, but unfortunately we lost against Spaniards. We lost the highland, we lost the high plateau region, we lost the coast region. The only place to protect, the only place, to take those as a kind of special place like the refuge, it was practically the cities in the high jungle cloud forest. So at the ending, the Inca troop, they took the way to get into the jungle, and they took cities in the jungle as a refuge. And right there, right in those cities, the Incas practically, they used to reorganize the army, and they used to send the troop back to the highland to fight against Spaniards. It took around 40 years fighting Incas and Spaniards. But unfortunately, we have a document what the Spanish they left saying, 1572. You know, the Spaniards allied with those jungle tribe right up north, like Chachapoyas and Cañaris, right at the end, and they penetrated the jungle, and they took a city in the Vilcabamba region. In there, it was captured the last Inca king called Tupac Amaru, right? That city was completely destroyed. That Inca king was executed in Cusco City, and all his descendants were practically executed, exterminated. Why the Spanish they eliminated the royal class? Because that was a better way to stop revolution. Yeah, because population used to follow leaders. So it's one of the theory where they wanna, the archaeologists they explain about those cities why they left is perhaps revolution between Incas and Spaniards. If the Spanish they took cities already right in a high jungle cloud forest, cities in Machu Picchu, as soon as they got the news that the Spanish they were getting right close there, probably gradually the population they abandoned the city. Probably they moved down into the Amazonian rainforest. Probably used to live down there with those Amazonian rainforests, or probably where practically most of the population been exterminated by the jungle Amazonian rainforest. Is that theory explain why they left Machu Picchu? It's one of the theories why they left. The other theory to explain why the population of Machu Picchu, you know, mysteriously they left the city is illness and diseases. Guys, when they found these human skeletons in the United States, Professor Bingham and the osteologist George Ayton, they analyzed the human skeletons. They found 2 female bodies with the probably evidence of syphilis. Hello, we're talking about syphilis, and that is what the people, that is what the archaeologists, they used to work for a long time. They say, hey, we have 1 or 2 kind of female bodies with those probably evidence of syphilis. Perhaps in Machu Picchu, illness, diseases, which later the population, they declare Machu Picchu city in quarantine, and gradually they abandon the city. But I'm not, well, just in case I let you know, but I don't follow, I not support this theory. But anyway, it's good to mention. 1 or 2 is not enough to prove like illness, disease is one reason why they left. But it's good to mention, right? So illness and diseases like we talk about syphilis. Guys, the questions in here, syphilis, how is it? How they got in here? We know that the Spanish introduced illness, diseases improved, like smallpox, flu, but a lot of works, lots of works where the archaeologists they did in different regions in Peru, we find out already right up north that we have another great civilization called Machu culture. They found evidence of syphilis in there. So it's interesting, like, to talk about syphilis, what exactly come from. It's already in Peru, already in Europe, right? This is good to questions that we have in here. So after a long time, George W. Verano, right again, he took those female bodies, analyzed the humans, those female bodies, and you know what he says? Another big mistake. Instead to talk about syphilis, what we found, you know, with those work investigations in there, they say we find more probably evidence of tuberculosis, because what they found in Machu Picchu is those 2 female bodies, mummified, fetal position, but hunchback. If we talk a little bit about the tuberculosis, how they form like all the body in there. So that is another way how the archaeologists now they work and explain. Okay, it's good to mention perhaps this theory about illness, disease, population used to live there. It's quite obvious to recognize buildings, houses for population. Yeah, it's those rock-style buildings, stone with clay. That buildings is just for population. Religious class, royal class, you will see down there is the high-quality buildings. I will show you later.
All these walls were rebuilt?
No, as I say, like this, explain us a lot that the 75% of buildings, original and 25%.
Okay, what the land would look like. It's agriculture. The middle part is the waterways, and then that's the door to the residential. It's waterways, agriculture, residential. This is the quarry. Just after the residential.
Tools, personal belongings, it's like furniture in Pakistan.
So this wasn't closed before?
This is a triangle building. If you can see the little opening in here, can you see this? It's practically is to bond into the wall the wooden structure. Have you seen restorations that we have right there? At the end of those buildings, they used to put on the buildings. They used to put this wooden structure, and on the wooden structure they used to put bamboos. In this region, high jungle cloud forest, we have a native bamboo. Oh. Yep. Put the bamboo and then Andean grass mixed with clay to be waterproof. I think those little houses that we saw high up in the Andes lattice give us an idea how those buildings were in Inca's time. So this style, Pirca style, stone with mud, with clay, is quite typical buildings for population. You never ever will see with this style royal class building. In Inca standard society was a high class, low class, and a servants. Royal class never mixed with the population. That means when we talk about Incas, we're just talking about the king. It's different than population. Population in Inca standard used to call Quechua or Quechua population. Royal class they used to call Japa. They used to call the king Inga, which doesn't mean the real son of the sun. In the Inca standard, that's a Quechua name for the royal class. Population, Quechua or Quechua population. That's the language that we speak. That's the region where the Incas developed it. And